Morning, fellow zombies. Are we alive yet? Are we awake yet? Are we emotionally screwed up? Or are we just there? This is your zombie out here at a Weaver Agency of Roseman, California. And not enjoying your heat wave as we got the heat bubbles kicking and cooking us. In the middle of the Texas state and surrounding communities and surrounding areas. This high pressure ridge, this bubble of heat is cooking. And we also have another one off the coast of California that's also forcing California and other areas to cook as well. The summertime triples are back. And almost just as worse in the midline and southern states, especially when they have the moisture to deal with. I could never deal with visiting or even living in the South. I don't think I could deal with that. A friend of mine a long time ago decided to start a life out there. I don't know if he's happily miserable out there. Was in the military, a nurse, got out, still a nurse. He also loved to program computers. I don't know if he's still doing that or not. But he made a life, had a family. He's happy. And he just doesn't talk to anymore. Thanks a lot, Benny Reeve. Anyway, I'm throwing that one out. Benny Ray Reeve. Anyway, things back here in the West Coast, we're frying. Summertime triples are coming in, and the Edison's going to be jacking up their rates again. They're going to be jacking up the bill for the energy one way or another. So I have to use as much energy credits I got for the air conditioning at this point, and not just on computer operations. They're sucking up the power dry. And during the midnight hours is when the proper time is to utilize both computers, but I have to suck it. I had to stick with just one computer at a time. I mean, I can do my recordings on this one, and I don't like to do the recordings on the bigger one because it just doesn't sound very well when it comes down for quality on it. So that sucks. I mean, I can watch television on it. I can do the cable stuff on it. I can do computer operations on the other lap. That's no problem. This one is basically the camera. Because the other computer cannot process it as bad, and just doesn't work as well. So, had to go a few hours ago. We had fireworks going up until 12 o'clock. A little past midnight, and they stopped. Thank God. My dog was already a banana case during that time. She had to really settle down in the bathroom. Got her out. Just lay down. Outside, I noticed which particular area, but I don't know exactly specifically where the fireworks were being launched at. I know the street, and I yelled on social media. That doesn't help much anyway. If I have a report, no. When I find out, the fire department needs the exact address so they can cite. That's how they work out here. They don't have enough people to going around the town looking for trouble. They don't want to do that. They want to be ready for a specific emergency. So it's up to the public. Thanks a lot, assholes. Up to the public. Yeah, right. Well, up to the public to tell everybody that we know where the fireworks are and we're going to be snitching on you. Around midnight, some of the people who actually have pets are not outside looking for the fireworks. Everybody's hunkered. They're all hunkered down. So I got to deal with what it is. This, every time the holiday comes up, or New Year's, it's always the same thing. There's always pre-fireworks happening every single night, one way or another, in one place or another. Even I got the neighborhood brats out here doing the same damn stuff. We'll go out and behind A, launch out fireworks over there. They're loud, they're sharp. I mean, if they're about maybe, I don't know, 1,000 yards away, it wouldn't bother my mother as much. My little dog's having issues over it, and so am I. As I said before, these things are having a problem with me. And yeah, I didn't have any nightmares yet, but I've seen clips of nuclear devastation, and never goes well with me. I mean, I could see those things on YouTube. That's where they are. Even with some of them with a graphic warning. Yeah, well, you had to see Midsummer Murders. You need graphic on that one. Sometimes the murders they show are pretty damn gross. Anyway, I could talk about how and why politics matters a great deal to me. Why this is a great deal to me for celebration, and why it's important for everybody. I mean, there are history lessons out there to say and spout off why. And all I keep hearing is the damn politics hiding right behind the damn thing in the first place. People don't want to know why. They want to celebrate, fire off the damn fireworks, and feel like they're accomplishing something in their life. It's almost worse as I don't know. Can I relate it with my dog? My little dog feels accomplished every time she takes a pee and goes for the number two. And then she's happy as a clam. And she wants to run around when she's outside and when she's inside. So, I guess people are like that with the fireworks. Yeah, kind of a weird way of looking at things, unfortunately. People want to feel like they're accomplished, that they're Americans. Almost kind of reminds me of Romans. It does. Unfortunately, the real Roman people didn't do that. They had a deal they had to endure. They had a deal with a government system that kept switching on them left and right. One day you have an emperor, next day you have a council. The other day you got an emperor, you got a council next day. I mean, it's like flip flop. Make up your minds. You got an emperor of one, or do you got an emperor of many? But even if you got an emperor of many, you still need an emperor of one. And the theoretical idea that if you're a Roman anywhere, no one can touch you because the name being Roman is sacrosanct. And if you're born one, you're born of the empire, then you're part of the empire. Yeah. Sometimes even the slaves don't even feel that way. They get drafted into the damn shit. They stay there long enough and get indentured, and maybe they'll earn their freedom if they're lucky enough. Certain city-states out there, they did the same thing. Even Greece did it. There's city-states out in Greece would do that for their slaves. It gets to the point where they're serving their masters so damn well that one way they'd earn their freedom by the good graces of their masters, and they could become citizens of the city-state. Almost becomes the same practice with Rome. But Rome didn't care all that much anyway. Rome is Rome. If you're not blood-born, you're screwed. It's always the same situation regarding our birthright citizenship. We have a dictator in Florida. who wants to get rid of that. I mean, seriously, putting that stuff out there on Fox and every other damn cable channel out there. Now, CNN and MSNBC and ABC, those major guys, CBS, they won't touch him. They won't touch DeSantis. They'll talk about what he's doing, but the progressive media on streaming, they'll touch him. And they'll tear his ass apart on that damn thing. Fox, Newsmax, maybe a couple other other conservative channels out there will probably pick up on DeSantis because it's either him or Trump that they want to worship and bow down to. They want to show how progressive. Actually, they want to show how conservative they can be. They want to show what kind of skinflint, stingy bastards they are. And DeSantis is doing an emperor thing on Florida, basically. He's trying to tell people that he's the emperor, he's in charge, despite the fact it's supposed to be a constitutional thing in the state, but also the U.S. Constitution. And when I was seeing some of these news programs out there, even though they're maybe days old, it's still the same sentiment out there flowing around because they're being picked up left and right by the progressives one way or another. It's like I'm watching a flock of carrion out there. I'm seeing vultures swooping in. The guy's not even. The guy's bleeding a little bit, and they're saying, "Oh, good, he's bleeding. Maybe he'll croak over, and we get to pick off his bones." That's your progressive media for you. How do you like that one? I don't. I don't. We get to it. Yeah. DeSantis wants to get rid of, was it 4 or 5 departments of government, including the IRS. Wants to abolish the IRS. Education, commerce, economics. Wants to get rid of them all. The IRS he wants to abolish. Good luck on that one. In order for his little empire to run, you have to collect taxes. You have to collect taxes from the peasants, your liege. The federal government has to do that, and so does the states, in order for them to keep running their own little fiefdoms. People say, he's talking our language. He said fiefdoms. He's saying kingdoms. He's got to be against this stuff. No, I'm just showing you examples. I'm explaining a little bit of examples here. In order for your states to run, period, you need revenue going in. It's an accounting situation. These guys don't understand accounting. Even their accountants that they have out among the maggots don't even understand this damn concept. That you need revenue places that gather revenue, any and all taxes, in order for the services to be run. No, it's government waste. You know, I did videos a long time ago, probably buried in the wind files on this one, where I tried to explain differences of why we need those damn taxes. Why people have to keep paying in one way or another. If it's sales tax, it's going to be done within the state or county or even local areas that the sales taxes are going to be helpful for that community. And they help run your system. Now here's the thing. Okay, you're in a rural community in the south. You have no city fire department. You have no city police department. What do you have? You have a guy with a gun who thinks he's a cop. And you also have people with fire extinguishers, or maybe, if they're lucky enough, they got to get a fire engine with fire crew. I'm sorry. I did say that, didn't I? A fire engine with a fire crew. That means training, equipment. That means tax money coming in to pay for the fire department, unless they're volunteer. But they still need training, paid training. They need to be at a facility to be trained as firemen. to use equipment, to be paramedics. That requires more training, more money coming in. Where is that coming from? Corporate don't care. It has to come from the community, which means one way or another they're paying for it. One way or another they're paying for the upkeep of a fire station, of a fire engine, if you're lucky enough in a rural community, or even for a sheriff's department. You still need to have some law enforcement in there. You still need to have something with a badge that says law and order, unless of course you want anarchy. Some people would prefer that. Their law with their gun, and that's about it. And they don't care unless they get shot, and then they scream and yell and hoot and holler and be pleading like crazy. That they demand. They demand. And look around and see nobody there to help them out. They want to get rid of the Department of Education, as if the education is going to be scary enough. Oh, they call it liberal system. They call it wokeism. See, I saw the articles I being reposted and replayed time and time again. The interview he had with Fox News, DeSantis had, and the Fox News host was like freaking out because DeSantis wants a closed environment. He wants it his way. Fox News is like, why are we running this asshole? Because Trump already said he doesn't want to be on Fox anymore. He's telling people, I don't like Fox. Fox is bad to me. I want loyalty. I like this station over here. I like this one over here. I'll be your friend. You'll be mine. It's like to do things my way. Mm-hmm. Says like, well, I'm trying to get into office over here because I want to cancel out wokeism. I want wokeism dead. I want liberalism dead. I want it gone. One party, one rule, and that's it. Your party, your rule. I hate to say this, pal, but it doesn't work that way. Democracy doesn't work that way. Oh, there'll be a democracy. They'll be voting, but they'll be voting for me. The arrogance I keep seeing on some of these assholes. Look at Biden as the enemy, President Biden as the enemy. And they look at his family as the enemy. It's, as I said before in one of the videos, like, who's right, who's wrong, depending on what your particular viewpoint. If you think President Biden and every Democrat out there is out to get people left and right, then you're thinking like a maggot at this point over here. But if you're a liberal, or you're looking at every damn maggot out there, you're seeing these guys coming out of the woodworks, still crawling out of the woodworks, out in the open light, and they're demanding things. They're demanding. We're going to command you. We're going to demand. We want, we want, we want. With the head stuck up. You know, I see on the progressive media shows all the time is the constant putting out of the same damn video or the same type of video. They go to the rallies where they have the conservatives yelling and screaming at each other, and what do they pick up? The red hats. They pick up the red hats. Look at this person over here. Look at this person over here. We did an interview on this person over here. Look how stupid they are. Ha 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 ha. I imagine the same person would be thinking about you, except when we do hear from them, it's like, where the hell are they getting these damn theories from in the first place? We don't know. They're getting it out of someone's imagination somewhere. It's out there on the internet. You must find it. But it's not there. Yes, it is. And how do you know? Because I know. How do you know? How dare you? Well, I dare. I dare. I dare answer and ask the question. I have to ask the question. How do you know? What's your proof? Did you see it? But it's out there. How do you know? Don't ask me that. Why not? How dare you? Yeah, I dare, and you haven't produced. So what's your major malfunction? You're of them. I'm like, oh my God, you are one of them. So here we go with the pep, 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 pep towards each other here. And no, there haven't been any kind of meetings like that. There haven't been any conventions like that where I see a flood of MAGA hats around here. In fact, I haven't walked around in my town just to see if there were any. And if they are, they're probably wearing them in their cars or something like that. But I hadn't seen them. But how do I know that they're maggots over here? The thing is, I don't. Except if they happen to post on social media, and then I'll probably see whatever kind of face icon they have to match up what the reality is outside. And if I happen to see the exact same person as I've seen online, then I know that they're one way or another. But if they're going to be wearing a maggot hat or not, that's a different story altogether. The people and the places that we have to deal with on a constant basis. Politics has been changing for decades and decades. Sometimes we actually had parties that we can actually try to respect the viewpoints, and other times, or well, the current times, we don't. It's either us or them, and we must destroy them because we are us. How do we look at 4th of July and holidays, basically, the patriotic holidays we're supposed to be? One's Flag Day is supposed to be honoring something. Memorial Day is supposed to be honoring the dead. 4th of July is supposed to be honoring freedom. Freedom from what? Tyranny? From ancient tyranny that we actually had, that we keep celebrating. But the meanings drift, the meanings change. Each generation, each cycle, it's changing more and more. Now, we've already had 2 decades, maybe about 1 or 2 generations of knowing war without knowing peace, or political war, political warfare. I the the current generation doesn't know, except for history books, what the Cold War was like. My previous generation, my mother's generation, my grandmother's generation would know it more and more. My grandmother's generation would know what the greatest generation had gone through. Her generation would know about World War One and Spanish American, and then if there was any other kind of police actions happening afterwards or beforehand. My grandmother and my mother would have known the Great Depression. They would have known World War One prior to that, the Golden Age. My mother was born in the late 30s. My grandmother was born at the turn of the century, of the 20th century actually. And my grandmother had seen people go through war. They kept track of it in papers. That's all they had was papers. They came out with the radios. Finally, they were actually able to listen to things going on. But mostly it's papers. They really didn't start with the newsreels until later on. We actually did have newsreels being played out in old cinemas. But you would hear people barking at the information what the newspapers was said because they were being reported and repeated. So my grandmother was getting information one way or another. And then when you had the radios and you're listening to radio shows, intermixed with news reports, the 30s were depressing as hell. But That's what happens when the stock crash of 1929 screwed the world's economy. My grandmother never told me these stories. My grandmother never shared with a young kid what was going on in her generation. I wish she had. But I'd probably be in no position to understand what the hell she went through, or the adventures that she had, or the lies, except through the stories I heard from my mother. Being a band teacher, my grandmother was. She was a suffragette. She was fighting for women's rights to vote, to live, to be. That's why the ERA was most important. Well, we actually had the damn thing passed, what was it, in the 70s? So it was important. My mother felt it was important. My mother could have been a suffragette if they still had the movement going on. My mother had her own issues to deal with. My mother had been raised under the World War II situation, where ration stamps were everything during those days. For 4 or 5 years, you heard of the green stamps from your parents and grandparents? Ration stamps, ration books. Everything was rationed because everything had to go for the war. Metal, all the time. Every damn scrap of it you could find. And I'm seeing more and more of it on YouTube of what things were like back then. People are writing books and writing news stories about how things were, and we're picking them up nearly a century later, marveling at what the hell happened back then. Different recipes that we thought are new were very old, very, very old. Hard times. Even right after World War II, there was hard times. They thought they were getting into more and more prosperity. Hard times for the people coming back from the front lines. How the hell they were supposed to act in modern day prosperity? Prosperity when actually Europe Europe was suffering like crazy because Europe had to be torn apart in the war. One particular madman, or actually there was a few madmen. One out in the Pacific and the other one in Italy decided, okay, that's it. We're had enough of this ass. So they left Germany to deal with their little schmuck out there. Greatest generation had to celebrate their holidays. Some of them, I guess, couldn't even deal with the fireworks right afterwards. We could deal with the fireworks. The civilians who had never been in combat could deal with the fireworks because it was no big deal. But the veterans coming back, yeah, that was a big deal. I mean, they could try faking it, but sometimes they couldn't do it. I heard stories coming from different veterans, different places. And if World War II wasn't bad enough, they had a small action on a peninsula called Korea had to deal with the threat of communism. Communism we already had going on since I think 1880, 1890. Karl Marx is bringing out his stuff and telling people that there should be a socialist change. Karl Marx from Europe. He didn't come out here to the United States. He was out in Europe. But his theories were coming out here to the States. And some people actually thought it was a good idea to have a group of people ruling everybody else. But everybody else is supposed to be the same, equal. Commune places popped up a few here and there where everyone had an equal vote, an equal say, an equal job, or they're all equal. No class war. No economic class war. No economics, period. Everyone's working and focusing on the common good, theoretically. But there always had to be a group above them to theoretically guide them or be elected into office to guide people left and right. But everyone's supposed to be equal. Only when you get to be on the council do you have to have more and more. And that's what it was proving out to be. Russia was dealing with its own damn problems with its own government changing left and right. They still had czars out there. They still had rulers of their own territories until the people decided they had enough with the Bolsheviks and went crazy. Was it proletariats versus the Bolsheviks? The common working people decided to revolt against the ruling class. Kill them all was the thing. Kill them all. They're lucky enough there was any surviving Russians left. Actually, Russian royalty left during those days. Anyway, things for me to think about and talk about, I guess, next video.